Granite Bay is tucked into Esther Island with steep, sheer cliffs forming a bowl around the bay. Granite Bay is relatively close to Whittier, easy to navigate, and has hunting, fishing, and hiking opportunities. Let's take a few minutes and explore Granite Bay.
Won't be long, I'm there before the setting sun, for you to fall into my arms, a place I call my home. I was looking to belong when I already found my home.
Granite Bay is at Esther Island in Alaska's Prince William Sound, about 23 miles from Whittier. Getting from Whittier to Esther Island is straightforward, but remember to check the marine forecast and the weather before you leave. After traveling east through Passage Canal, take a turn toward the northeast in Port Wells. Cross Port Wells to the northwest side of Esther Island. Entering the bay requires attention to detail on your marine charts, but it is manageable even by a beginner. At the entrance to the bay, there are a number of submerged rocks, some of which are only visible at low tides. Entering the bay requires following the channel that starts slightly south of the bay and then continue to follow the channel north and then east into the bay. The entrance channel has plenty of depth, with it measuring at least 50 feet. This picture shows the opposite view of the entrance to Granite Bay. To help orient you to what you're looking at, College Fjord is toward the right and Whittier is toward the left and then up in the picture. This picture is taken from the head of the bay looking west. Notice the partially submerged rocks that you are not going to hit with your boats. From Whittier, you will turn north and then east toward the western side of Esther Island. The entrance channel starts south of the entrance to the bay, and then you will head in a north and then east direction into the bay. The head of the bay has multiple anchorage opportunities. The evening we filmed this bay, there were 3 boats anchored overnight. We were the last to arrive, and we chose a place on the north side of the head of the bay. We anchored about 30 feet of water at high tide. The floor was a mixture of mud and sand and appeared to have a good hold on our anchor. A second boat was anchored on the south side of the bay, and I would guess that they were anchored in a depth about 30 to 50 feet of water. The third boat was a large and beautiful sailboat. A sailboat requires a little more depth for anchorage because of the large keel under the boat. The sailboat appeared to be anchored about 65 feet of water in the middle of the bay. The crew of the sailboat took their dinghy out and came over to our boat to say hello and chat. They sailed their boat from the Caribbean through the Panama Canal and then into the South Pacific. Next they sailed up to Japan, and most recently they sailed from Japan through the Aleutian Islands and into Prince William Sound. I was definitely impressed with their adventures and maybe a little jealous. As we cooked dinner, the kids explored the head of the bay with the dinghy. I recommend getting off the boat and onto land and doing a little exploring for yourself. There's a lot to see and discover if you're willing to climb over some rocks and some tree stumps. I think it's a good idea to give the kids some freedom in discovering and exploring for themselves. It helps them develop independence and problem-solving skills. It's something I did a lot as a child. It was fun following them with the drone and getting some good pictures. The boys returned to the boat in time for sunset and some grilled burgers ready to eat. Being together on the boat is so great because it forces us to be together in close proximity. It's so different from regular life where it's just go, go, go. Phones are put away, there's no screens, and we actually interact a lot more together.
What's up, brother? No, could you hand me a plate?
There are a number of hiking opportunities around Granite Bay. There are 2 lakes on the south side of the bay, and we hiked to the lake closer to the entrance of the bay. We took the dinghy out across the bay, and Camille and Anders took the paddle boards. When hiking in Prince William Sound, you usually do not have an established trail. However, if you do a little preparation before you go, you can usually avoid a miserable experience. And it definitely can be a miserable experience. Just ask me how I know. If you try and walk through the thick forested areas with deep underbrush, it's miserable. Your wife and kids will not follow you for very long. What you want to do is look on a satellite map before you go and plan your routes. If you notice on the maps, there are intense green areas with scattered brown or tan areas. The thick green areas represent thick trees and brush that should represent in your mind miserable to try and hike through. What I try and do is find the meadows and access the meadows as quickly as possible to my destination. I refer to these areas as hiking through a golf course. My goal in this hike is to land the dinghy in a place that I could access the meadows easily and then follow the meadows to the lake. This was easy to do. It took almost no navigation skills. I looked at the map before we left, but we brought no map with us, no compass, and nothing to help with navigation. Generally, when you get into these meadows, you have great line of sight and it's easy to see features around you to navigate. There's always at least one of your kids that doesn't want to hike and gives you a bunch of pushback. I try and do something to get them more involved. Today I have him flying the drone. He was a lot more excited about going once he was able to fly the drone. I've been told that you can access the ridgeline and hike from Granite Bay to the top of the mountains. If anyone has done that, please leave a comment and a link to your route. That would be very helpful information for others to have. If you have hiked anywhere on Esther Island, please leave a description of your route. One of the benefits of hiking in Prince William Sound is you can have your dog off leash. And I've never seen another person while hiking out here. It's definitely peaceful. There's a small river at the head of the bay that can be accessed by the tidal lagoon. We decided to drive the dinghy to the river and see how close we could get to the river. We actually got all the way to the mouth of the river. We saw a lot of pink salmon swimming towards the river, so there's definitely a wild run of pinks that this river supports. We didn't see any other species of fish, and we didn't do any fishing. But if the river supports a wild run of pinks, the river probably supports a small run of silvers also. I'd like to come back in the fall and see if there are any trout in the river. We've seen a number of black bear on the shore of Granite Bay. This would probably be a good place to hunt for black bear.
Oh yeah, look.
I've only hunted for black bear once at Prince William Sound. We shot a bear in Esther Passage across from Esther
There
Island.
before the setting sun, for you to fall into my arms, a place I call my home. I was looking to